Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we gotta talk about the super mayor's eviction status, because right now her landlord has actually come public to talk about the struggles that she's dealing with Tiffany A. Henyard, and I find this to be absolutely fascinating, especially when you consider the fact that the rent that she is paying in comparison to her salary is extraordinarily low, and that salary, by the way, is nearly $300,000, and by the way, well over $250,000 for the super mayor just on her own, and she lives with her boyfriend in this place. Now we're going to get into this. We're going to talk about this disaster, the 90-minute ranting video that the super mayor launched, calling everything a smear against her. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
Also, I want to thank all of you guys out there in the audience for helping me reach 400,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. I have put out more content in an effort to reach more people, and you have responded, so thank you so much. I never thought I would reach this threshold, and if not for you, I wouldn't be invited to do crazy cool things like the debate that I did with Joshua Eagle, which, by the way, I want to thank him for being a great sport about it, and each and every one of you who showed up and showed out in person and online to watch that debate. I have the full link to the full video in the description if you guys want to check it out. And also, there's a guy who said he was going to email me asking questions about equipment. I have not received that email, so if you sent it, double check that everything is right in the email address.
Y'all know this is a smear campaign, right? Smear campaign. That's what they do to people that they cannot control, that they cannot get out the way.
You know, every once in a while, people ask me why I straight up don't identify as a populist, and although there are some populist issues that I do in fact agree with, this is a perfect example of why, because Tiffany A. Henyard is claiming the mantle of left-wing populist. She's saying that she's for the people, and the reason that she's being attacked is not due to her well-documented corruption. It is due to the fact that they can't control her. She's completely out of step with the establishment, and she's just fighting back, but the system is cracking down on her. Again, I will point out that this is somebody who was invited to the White House to meet President Biden. This is somebody who won her election overwhelmingly, is in a majority black town that would love to support their young black female mayor, but the fact of the matter is she is insanely corrupt, and she ran anti-corruption against the previous guy that was in office as the village mayor, but the fact of the matter is that guy, whatever his issues were, actually had a surplus. Tiffany A. Henyard is running a dramatic deficit. She's blown through all kinds of funds that she shouldn't even have access to, and she constantly, 100% of the time, plays the victim, and I'm sick of it.
Embattled Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard in a rambling Facebook video nearly 90 minutes long. She posted that as she's facing more trouble.
She and her boyfriend are being evicted from the house they rent in Dolton. Together, the couple makes more than $300,000, according to public payroll records, but their landlord says they're not paying the rent.
So look, we are going to eventually have to examine this 90-minute Facebook video that the super mayor put out where she was rambling and psychotic and all that, but we're trying to focus this story at the issue at hand, which of course is the eviction that the super mayor is facing. Now again, I will also point out that in and amongst the news that I have yet to cover is the fact that at a Thornton Township meeting, the super mayor actually got served during the meeting for another lawsuit.
I'm a private investigator. I've got some books that super mayor. Inside I have from the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Hiram Nyson Jr., to you as both personal and in your role as mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you much, and good sir.
Anytime, appreciate it. You need to have a cook bait, huh? All right. I guess anything else? I get sued all the time. Y'all, stop it. What happened?
Now look, as fun as that is, and trust me, we will be covering that, the fact is, right now, we just gotta focus on the fact that she's facing eviction. We have to set aside all the craziness, including her saying that she's going to sick the police on her political opponents, something that she's already doing, and focus on the eviction issue, the fact that she not pay rent, what we need to focus on.
Initially, I didn't want to go on camera, but right now, I feel like I'm at wit's end.
So it's absolutely wild that Tiffany A. Henyard, as a public official holding 2 elected positions, makes almost $750,000 in those positions. But in addition to that, her boyfriend, who also is on the government payroll, no coincidence in that, let me be clear about that, pushes their combined salary to well over $300,000, and they're not paying rent. I remember when this story was first initially reported, and it said something like they owed $3,000 in backed rent over the course of months. So she has a low rent home that she's actually living in, and she's not even paying that. And again, with a combined income of over $300,000, we're talking about owing 1% of their annual income, and they're just not paying. And again, the issue is not that they don't pay their bills, that she's just ripping off the landlord like she's ripping off all the taxpayers. The issue is people are coming after her and smearing her because she can't be controlled. How about you pay your rent? How about you pay your utilities? And then we'll talk about whether or not you're being smeared.
I have nowhere else to turn.
Janetta Hull says she considered Tiffany Henyard a friend and even did campaign work for the Dolton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor. But things changed in 2021 when she was about to rent out this 3-bedroom, 2-bath home she owns in Dolton to a family and got a late-night call from the mayor.
And she's like, hey, this is Mayor Henyard. And I'm like, hi. And then she's like, I heard that you were renting your house. And I said, yeah. And I said, I have somebody that's moving in soon. And she says, no, they can't move in because I want it. And I'm like, excuse me?
So here we have another situation where somebody like the super mayor, considered the super mayor a friend, decided to campaign with the super mayor, and they're ending up feeling the consequences of their previous support for this woman. Now, a lot of people will say, Sean, they voted for her for the mayoral position, so they got what they voted for. But again, in this particular circumstance, they actually ran a recall campaign. That recall campaign overwhelmingly voted to kick her out of office, but one judge ended up invalidating the vote based on a procedural matter, and that's why she's still the mayor and she hasn't been kicked out as of a couple of years ago. So these people understand who this woman is at this moment in time, and they definitely want her out of office. And if you'll recall, she ran on an anti-corruption campaign, on a transparency campaign, and that's what people thought they were voting for, and what they got was anything but that. And as a member of the Dolton Board of Trustees prior to being a mayor, there's all these different exchanges that you can look up online. Nate the lawyer has been an expert at finding them, where she's targeting the previous mayor for his lack of transparency. So this is a bait and switch situation. The villagers actually did figure out what a disaster this woman was, but as you can see, her fraud does not only extend to her position in office, but is in her private life as well, which shouldn't be surprising because remember, she was actually arrested for breaking into motor vehicles prior to taking office as the mayor.
Feeling pressured, Hull says she agreed to rent the house to Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, who holds a 6-figure job at the township. Henyard signed the original lease, and on the line asking about her job.
You see here, she only put mayor for employment.
Henyard makes nearly $300,000 as mayor and township supervisor, but is the focus of an ongoing FBI investigation for extravagant spending, questionable contracts, and using tax dollars for personal gain.
Now, the only thing that is surprising to me about the fact that she only listed one job on her rental application is the fact that the super mayor didn't write super mayor as her job title, because that is the self-given nickname that she labels herself. But it is unsurprising to me that she was trying to hide, even from her friend and soon-to-be landlord, the fact that she holds 2 elected positions that pay her well over what is required in order to actually pay the rent at this place.
You make almost $300,000 between your 2 elected positions.
I do not. I don't know where you got that number from.
We got it from her own village and township records.
Along with her boyfriend, who also makes 6 figures in government.
Hull says things started to unravel this summer when she was forced to raise the rent by $200 to $2,400 a month because her property taxes went up again.
So with that, I had to equate that into the rent. And Kamal said that he couldn't afford it.
Look, we don't have a full accounting of whether or not they're paying utilities and rent, but as you could see right there, the numbers for a couple that makes well over $300,000, the super mayor makes nearly $300,000 herself, being $2,400 a month, a rent increase of $200 after the dramatic increase in property taxes in Cook County, which, by the way, we've covered on this channel before, is not that bad, not that crazy, not that unreasonable. And again, it averages out a $200 rent increase to $2,400 in addition a year. So if they make over $300,000, the rent increase is less than 1% of their annual gross income. But they're telling her that they can't afford that increase.
She says Henyard and Woods refused to pay the extra rent in August, then stopped paying altogether. Did they pay for September?
No.
Did they pay for October?
No.
That's why you're trying to get them removed?
Yes.
Hull says not only are the couple thousands of dollars behind in rent, but they also changed the locks and garage door code, so she can't get inside.
So after lying to her and saying that they can't afford an extra $200 a month in rent, and by the way, I understand nobody likes rent increases, they end up not paying after the first month, changing the locks, changing the garage, which means the super mayor has now also received the title of the super squatter, doing exactly what we see these type of people do across the country, and now this woman is in an eviction battle.
If I push and go over there with the locksmith and try to change them back, I think that she's going to probably have me arrested.
Under a jurisdiction where the person that she's trying to evict probably makes way more money than her, but also controls the local police. It's absolute madness, and she has to go to the press in order to get some kind of redress because the super mayor does not care about little people and their issues, and if she can avoid it, if she could set her own narrative, then she thinks she can get away with any crime, no matter what level it is, and this includes, obviously, squatting.
So Hull went to court and filed an eviction lawsuit against Henyard and Woods, but Cook County sheriffs have tried and failed to serve that suit, both at the home and Village Hall. Now Hull is paying a process server to track one of them down.
So this is absolutely crazy. We actually talked about the super mayor getting evicted over a month ago on this channel because that was one of the latest updates that was discovered through the court filings. But this woman, who is a public official holding public board meetings, who was served, by the way, in one of those public board meetings, has been dodging a process server for months. That's madness in every possible way, and there's nothing that can be done about this. Remember, Village Hall, you're supposed to be able to go in there, talk to public officials, including the mayor. You're supposed to be able to find her at all these live streamed events, but for whatever reason, it's basically impossible for people to do that, except for that one guy who was successful in a different case at the Dolton Township. This is completely crazy, and again, this is a woman who probably makes more money off the taxpayer than the private citizen that she's going after, than the private citizen that she's targeting. And again, we see some of the most ghetto hood activity that you could possibly imagine from this woman, including basically stealing the home through squatters by ending up changing the locks and the garage at her residence, which, by the way, is not her home.
What position does this put you in?
A very hard position. I'm between a rock and a hard place. I haven't worked in several months, and I am fearful that I may lose the house.
So this is where the story actually gets really sad. You have this woman right here who is reliant on this rental income even more so than when she actually signed the contract with the super mayor. She ended up losing her job due to the problems that we've seen across our economy. She can't really work, and now she's in this situation where the income that she desperately needs to survive and pay the mortgage for this property is being withheld from her by a public official, by a public servant, by somebody elected, by somebody that she previously supported, and she might lose her home due to the fact that the super mayor doesn't give a damn about anybody but herself.
He says Henyard blocked her months ago, but with all the controversy surrounding Henyard's spending of tax dollars, she wants to send the mayor a message.
At some point, you would have to understand that karma is going to catch up to you. Just pay your rent.
She says even if Henyard and her boyfriend come up with that money, she still wants them out of her house, which is on a month-to-month lease.
So this woman obviously has learned her lesson. She's like, listen, I want my money back. You need to pay the back rent, but whether or not you come up with the money is neither here nor there, because honestly, you need to get the hell up out of my house regardless, because if you did this once, you could do this again, and suspending this eviction thing is only going to lead to her doing the same thing down the line later, and her having to file this, go to the press, and all that. In addition to that, she is very likely to lose her elected position, so Tiffany Henyard might lose the money, and if she's already not paying when she makes over $300,000, just imagine what she would do when she loses that salary. Now look, obviously this is an insane story right here, another bit of hood ratchet behavior from the super mayor, but I want to open up the floor to all of you guys out there in the audience so you can let me know what you think. As per usual, if you like this video, then show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the super mayor not paying her rent. Till next time.